Hello, universe. Welcome to the most spectacular wrestling podcast you will find on the internet. You are listening to Tag Me In, bro. I'm Joe Tantillo, and as always, I'm seated next to my terrific co-host, Taryn O'Connor. Say hi to the people, Taryn.
Hi to the people, Taryn.
If you're new to the show, the format is simple. Each week, we discuss all the magnificent moments, turbulent times, and stunning surprises that professional wrestling has to offer.
So turn your radio up and your opinions down, because we've got some hot tags coming up NXT, which means next.
Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
What's up, Tag Me In Bro universe and wrestling fans everywhere? This is Taryn. Welcome to another episode of Tag Me In Bro. Happy Wednesday. It's like the middle of June. Gosh, can you believe it's the middle of June already? I think that is nuts. But I am excited that it's summer and that it's supposed to be like beautiful for the rest of the week, which is exciting. Father's Day is right around the corner. And what does your dad love more than a wrestling podcast? Which I know is the reason that you're listening. So listen with him. It can be a family activity because you, your dad, your mom, your whole family, you don't want to miss out on 1 second of Tag Me In Bro content. So go on Twitter right now. Follow us at Tag Me In Bro. I hope everyone is excited for the show because it is about to go down in a big way. If you're new to the show, I'll run down a little bit of how we do things. So first things first, we'll cover our SmackDown speed through, where we'll give you our analysis of the most important bits of last night's show. Then we've got our Hi to the People segment, where we want to engage with you guys to find out more about your views on a certain subject. This week, it's going to be Money in the Bank centric. Then we're going to move on to our main event for the week, where we'll talk about the question on everybody's mind from SmackDown Live. Then we'll close out the show with our Stars of the Night. This week, the question on everyone's mind that we're going to be talking about is, why aren't they booking tag teams on SmackDown Live? But we'll be talking much more about that in the main event, so let's get straight to the SmackDown speed through.
Woo!
Here are the only 5 things you need to know about SmackDown Live this week. Number 5, Rusev versus Samoa Joe. Number 4, Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Number 3, The Miz gets a Pancake contract. Number 2, Daniel Bryan versus Shelton Benjamin. And number 1, the women's main event 10-women tag team match. That's hard to say. But starting from the bottom and getting over here. Rusev versus Samoa Joe. Okay, so this was like mostly super exciting because we got to see The Miz as a guest referee. Paige called him out earlier in the show for like only wanting this position so we could try to get inside his ladder match opponents' heads right before the big pay-per-view. She was totally right. It doesn't stop it from being a fabulous match where like 2 competitors got to be like highlighted that I don't think we see highlighted often enough. Obviously Samoa Joe because he was on an injury, but Rusev, who's been like long deserving of a push. And the match was good. Rusev got the pin, which is not normally the case, which is very exciting. But I don't think they made Samoa Joe look weak. And The Miz was like nefarious as always. You could blame The Miz for Samoa Joe's loss. So yeah, all in all, I was very happy with it. And at the end, what really like made it was The Miz's moment, which we will talk about, which we will circle back to in our top 5. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really nice way to book 3 men who are in a very important pay-per-view match on the go-home show. So we thought it was excellent. Moving to number 4, we saw Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura. A really interesting pairing, I thought, for the go-home match, just considering Jeff Hardy, U.S. champion, doesn't look like that title is going to be defended at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, even though they did announce that they will start starting at 7 p.m., so they are looking to make those pay-per-views an extra hour longer. Overall, fine match. Some really interesting storytelling. They did have Shinsuke hit the low blow on Jeff Hardy, staying very in line with that motivation for his heel character. Then he hit the Kinshasa after the match, or after the bell, on Jeff Hardy, and kind of counted to 10, showing that Jeff Hardy couldn't answer the ref's count of 10, just the same way, implying that it was the same way that AJ will not be able to hit the count of 10 during their last man standing match. So overall, an interesting way to have to not compete with each other. Definitely the better showing of the championship opportunity moments, like for match hype in this episode, because AJ's moment with Jerry the King Lawler was, oh god, it was bad. A lot of the just promo moments in the show, guys, they were rough, but we have made our way through them. And the Nakamura Hardy match I thought was a much better way to do it, and so we wanted to highlight it. Number 3, it's finally time. We have circled back to the Mrs. Pancake contract. So basically picking up where I left off after the match, the Miz, after his like nefarious dealings and arguing with Samoa Joe, climbs the ladder, poses with the Money in the Bank briefcase, takes it down to the announce table, and opens it to just find that it has been stuffed with pancakes. And he's very aggressive the whole time. He's like, this is a contract, this is a contract. And you're like kind of excited. You're like, are we going to see this? Did it just get stolen? I'm a little confused. And it's pancakes. And then it cuts to the New Day, whose only job for the past month of SmackDown Live has been to find new and interesting and gifable ways to laugh backstage and on camera. And I won't lie, I'd keep watching it. Like, I'm still buying. I am biting. I am buying in. I'm here for it. I am ready for it. But also this weird feud that's like the Miz versus the whole of the New Day is amazing. I really think it shows the strength of all of their characters, like of the team's character and ethos, of the Miz's like depth and complexity, of their ability to be silly, but also like maintain a focus and have that. So I don't know, I've been super here for it. I loved it. The number 2 moment of the night, Daniel Bryan versus Shelton Benjamin, in a match that I can only say I was not excited for at all, that turned out to be really, really excellent. The wrestling was excellent. Obviously, these are 2 incredible technicians inside of the ring. It ended with Daniel Bryan getting the submission. He had the heel lock. He got the tap, so he won the match. Really nice to see Daniel Bryan win the match. Shelton Benjamin played the heel very, very well. The way that they conducted the action in the ring, so that Shelton Benjamin was very specifically attacking Daniel Bryan in a way that did target his submission abilities, I think is such an interesting way to attack a submission specialist, because I think so often we get characters who try to brand themselves as submission specialists, and rarely do we see an offense that shows a specifically like intelligent and well executed counter to a submission, or a specific like offense and attack plan that would negate a submission specialist. So I think that when you see offense that is fearful of and concerning a submission specialist, it makes a submission look that much more powerful. And I think when we don't see that, submissions just kind of look like an easy tap. Might be controversial, but that's how I feel. So I actually thought this was done super, super well. It was an excellent, excellent match, and one that I was not expecting to be very good. And it was an excellent part of SmackDown Live. Number 1, super happy the number 1 moment of the night was the women's tag match. Biggest women's tag match to be on SmackDown Live, which is super exciting. It was the Money in the Bank competitors plus Asuka versus Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, the Iconics, and the current SmackDown Live Women's Champion, Carmella. So again, a really interesting way to, we got to see all of the women, which is exciting, but I thought it was booked really nicely because every woman got like their own moment. They all got spots. They got their chance to shine, which was amazing, but it didn't feel like in that go-home show moment, it gave away any victors. Like, in the sense of, it could definitely point people as being stronger for the Money in the Bank ladder match, which really is the match that we're itching to see and that holds a lot more promise. Asuka did win with the Asuka lock, which makes it a little dubious as to whether or not she will win on at the pay-per-view. I was going to say on Sunday at the pay-per-view. And we might see Carmella retain, which is like really, really just confusing at this point, that if she will have gone against Charlotte and Asuka and cleanly been able to retain both times, it'll start to kind of feel out of character for Carmella, because her character is a very wily it's a very wily malice heel. It's not like just a great technical wrestler who's like pulling one over on these like really big champions. So it'll be interesting to see if she retains, how they choose to do that. But the match was great. Had a great ending. And I am really excited for the women's ladder match. So well done, SmackDown Live. That was our SmackDown speed through. we focused on a lot of positive moments because I wanted to and because there were really positive moments. But we're still going to say the show is just fine. Like, it wasn't anything particularly special. And that, yeah, like, all the promos, the Iconics promo is terrible. Why Big Cass has a job is still, like, a mystery to me. His promo about the carnival was so bad. And for those, like, unforgivable reasons, I can't, in good conscience, say, like, it was a great episode. Like, it was fine. It was a fine episode, but Money in the Bank should be a great pay-per-view, which should make up for it. But if you disagree, or if you agree, let us know your thoughts on social media. Speaking of social media, it is time to say hi to the people. This week on Hi to the People, we want to know your thoughts on which superstar from the SmackDown roster is missing from the ladder match. Of all of the candidates, who are you missing the most from this 8-man match? We'll be running a Twitter poll for the next 72 hours and discussing the results here on our show next week, so let us know exactly what you think. You can vote on Twitter by tweeting at us using the hashtag #HotTag, comment on the posts, share your opinion, and maybe have your thoughts read out on the show. Every week we read out some of our favorite responses, which brings me to the results of last week's topic. Last week we talked about the completely unseen, even though they have been announced for the roster, Sanity. And we asked you guys, when will Sanity arrive on SmackDown Live? And overwhelmingly, you guys said 18 years. And while I do not expect the internet to not go for the troll option at all points, the second option was 2 weeks. The second, like, highest rated option with 26% of the vote was 2 weeks. And the reason, I think, is because speculation would state, as would our comments and commenters, as, like, best told to us by them, that they are going to probably appear at Money in the Bank. So that's, like, the big speculative point that we've been able to wield. And so from there, any comments that we had kind of felt spoilery, so I don't really want to read them this week, even though I appreciate you guys for engaging. But yeah, I would say the overall speculation is that 26% of the vote went to 2 weeks because people imagine that they will debut at Money in the Bank. Could be interesting. Could be really upsetting. How will they debut as a whole faction? Will Nikki Cross be with them? Will it be during the ladder match? All very unclear. We'll find out. To be honest, I'm kind of with you guys. I think it might be 18 years. I think we may literally never see them again. Maybe at the next Royal Rumble, we'll see them, even though they've been announced a whole year beforehand. But very interesting. Let us know your thoughts on this week's poll. Don't be afraid to tweet at us, to comment, to get engaged. But we'll talk more about that next week, because now it is time for the main event. On this week's main event, we are asking why tag teams aren't being booked on SmackDown Live. Joining me is my co-host, Tommy.
Hi.
Hi, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So Tommy, the Bludgeon Brothers are our current champions.
They are.
We've got about 5 tag teams on the SmackDown Live roster.
Should have 6.
Why aren't tag teams being booked on SmackDown Live?
Well, there are a few reasons that I think you could get into as to why. It is not debatable in any way that tag teams are not being booked on SmackDown Live. That is a fact. We didn't see any tag teams on SmackDown Live, so there must be a reason. I think the main reason of the many, the main reason is that the Bludgeon Brothers as characters do not have depth. They have a very mysterious gimmick, very not dissimilar to what Harper and Rowan were doing as members of the Wyatt family. It's just a little bit more Norsey, I guess. It's still just like, we don't talk, we beat people up, and now instead of fists, it's hammers. Go. There's nothing really interesting about that. Luke Harper is a great wrestler. It's always cool to see him do stuff. I remember when Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton were feuding over the WWE Championship, and he was like kind of on the fringe of that feud. He was great. He flies around the ring. He's a very good wrestler. But he's super underutilized in this tag team. There's not really any depth there. So it's really hard to craft a story. And you don't need a story and there is none for the kickoff show defense that they will be doing on Sunday against the club. There's no story behind this. We have not heard either team promo, and we've not seen them wrestle now for 2 weeks. I think it's the Bludgeon Brothers being truly creatively underwritten champions. Because you can't create depth in your division when your champions have nothing going for them. So that would be, for me, the main reason why tag teams are not being booked on SmackDown Live.
I think that's really interesting, and I think that there is something to be said, just kind of on the heels of what you were saying about creating depth, and if that depth comes from, like, a champion or the challengers. And I feel like when you write characters like that, you have to say, like, why do they want the title? What is their motivation for when you're entering a championship picture? And the bottom line is, by keeping them off of TV, you take away the opportunity for it to be situational.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be that, oh, we ran into each other backstage and this weird thing happened. Oh, we had a match and this odd thing happened, so now we're in a fight. Because they're just not on television. So that depth does have to come from the basis of the characters. And in this situation on SmackDown, we've got the Bar, the Club, the Usos, the Bludgeon Brothers, and God, I believe the fifth one that I literally am not remembering. The New Day. And the reason I'm not remembering is the New Day is because they're involved weirdly in like a 3 individual singles feud with The Miz. Yeah.
They have transcended the tag team division.
Exactly. But as a whole, that leaves your division with like 1.5 face teams if we're counting like the Usos as having almost made that transition.
I think they're full. I'd say the Usos are full face
full
now.
face?
If they're associating her with Naomi, not her with Naomi, them with Naomi, I think it's a safe bet that they're like full face.
And that's fair. But even then, so you've got 2 face teams to 3 heel teams. 1 face team that doesn't need to fight for the championship, and at this point is literally not. And so you've just got the Usos. The Usos were just champions, so it doesn't necessarily make sense. With the build that the Bludgeon Brothers got, it doesn't make sense to just put the belts right back on the Usos.
I agree.
But who are they supposed to fight? Like, I feel like the last time they were on TV, we were advertising and, you know, starting to plant the seeds of the Bar breakup.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Club, who, you know, is kind of the only team left in that situation. And they'll have this title defense, but who are we supposed to root for? Like, in this situation, yeah, but let's be honest, in this situation, it's 2 groups where the basis of the character is I fight to fight because I want to fight.
Yeah, but
at that point, there is no emotional driving factor.
True.
That says, of course I want them to win. Or, like, of course this is what pushes them over the top. This is what allows them to overcome this challenge. You have literally, like, what may be 4 guys who are just going to beat the shit out of each other. And it's not that that's bad. Like, for some people, that might be, like, what they want in their match. But it does mean that that's not interesting. You can do that once.
Yeah.
You can't do that week to week. So it would be fair to say that, like, if that's your gimmick and that's what you're going for, like, what's the point of putting it on television?
Yeah, that's a great point, because if we look at, like, AJ and Shinsuke, there was not really a feud beyond, we want a dream match, so we have a dream match at WrestleMania. And then they ran into the fact that, like, oh, they want this feud to continue. Well, we need a fucking reason to keep doing it, so let's have Shinsuke turn heel. The Club are faces-ish. The Bludgeons are heels. There is no feud. They're not on television. It's on the pre-show. Maybe we're not supposed to care because they're not giving me anything to grab a hold of. Not really. I mean, when they're not on TV, they can't create a story. There is no story. It's really hard to see where everything will go from here, purely because we don't even see them.
I totally agree. And I think the safest thing for us to say is, like, we'll see 4 guys beat each other up on Sunday.
Yeah.
Somebody will become the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and if it is the Bludgeon Brothers, it'll just be up to them because we can't see it again.
Yeah.
They will have done it. They will have done the no story, just beat each other up thing.
Absolutely.
And so we'll have to start anew.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, I hope for that reason, I hope it changes hands, because at least, like, the clubs speak
And I find the club graceful. Like, I
Yeah.
agree with you
Oh,
that
Carl
Luke
Anderson
Harper,
is such a good wrestler.
yeah, like, I agree with you that Luke Harper, especially for his size,
Yeah.
is a truly, like, agile performer. He's very compelling in the ring. I actually find him very expressive and emotional as well. But they have never looked at him that way.
Yeah, and this character also.
Absolutely. I mean, this character of
is
no talk, just
unemotional,
mask.
just fight, rawr.
Mm-hmm. But to see a Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson team bring that into it, they have a little more history, even simply together.
Yeah.
Like outside of the WWE, within the WWE, there's a little more grace, there's a little more sophistication. I mean, look at the moves, like to come up with like the magic killer.
Yeah.
There's a little more finesse, I think, in that team.
Definitely.
And Carl Anderson can talk.
Absolutely.
Carl Anderson is great on the mic.
Yeah.
And I would love to see him versus Cesaro. You know, like it already feels fresh and exciting
I agree.
to talk about the possibilities of the club as champions.
Absolutely. And if what happens on Money in the Bank, at Money in the Bank, is that AJ Styles leaves the world title picture, hey, I'd go for a club.
Oh,
I'd go
would,
for a big club. I'd be
big club
super
reunion.
into that.
Oh, I would too.
But the possibilities are endless. I guess the conclusion that we've come to is if you want the SmackDown tag teams on TV, you put the titles on the club.
I agree. And I think
Yeah.
that brings us to an excellent end of our discussion. Let us know exactly what you guys think about the SmackDown tag team titles, having them on TV, not having them on TV. Let us know on social media. Tweet at us. Let us know your thoughts. That's what we're here for. And now we're going to finish off the show the way that we do every week with our stars of the night.
You just made the list.
Number 3 of our stars of the night this week is Paige. Despite the fact that she's not wrestling, she is probably the best talker on SmackDown right now. That is like not a heel. I still think Samoa Joe is a fantastic talker. But Paige really has authority, and not in the like super bogged down sense of the authority. Like, she is someone who seems to be a rational GM. She makes good decisions, even though they are decisions that other people have made. She makes them her own. She has authority, and she's killing it. So yeah, Paige, number 3 star of the night, definitely. Number 2 is Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan is so good at making me just feel for him. He is a little man, but he has a big heart. And despite the fact that he is just my second favorite small man with a big heart, looking at you, Johnny Wrestling, he was still great this week in his match against Shelton Benjamin. Gotten that heel hook. Obviously, it seems to be that that's his new finisher, is the heel hook. I'm happy with it. He was very good in his match. Great selling on his part. And yeah, I really liked him this week. And number 1 is Rusev. Rusev won in his match against Samoa Joe, which was awesome. You really don't expect Rusev to win a match nowadays, even though he's probably one of the more organically over members of the SmackDown Live roster. Despite the fact that there may have been some shenanigans from The Miz, it doesn't really matter. Rusev pinned somebody, and he's got all the momentum going into Money in the Bank. Is he going to win? Absolutely not. There's no way that Rusev wins. But here's the thing. I now hope that it will happen. And that means that Rusev is our number 1 star of the night. Rusev, you deserve it.
Well, that'll do it here for us at Tag Me In Bro. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and tune in later in the week. We're going to be doing a whole predictions episode for Money in the Bank and for TakeOver.
And we're going to win.
We're going to win. We are coming for those Tag Me In Bro World Championships. We are here, team less little less big, less little less big, less little less big. Guys,
Wow.
Can you tell it's the end of the episode? All right, it's fine. Follow us on Twitter. As always, we're eager to hear your thoughts, comments, questions, answers. So let us know what you liked, what you hated, what you could give a fuck about. I've been Taryn O'Connor. You've been Tommy Rowe.
Yes, I have.
Thanks so much for listening to Tag Me In, Bro. We will see you next week for another episode of SmackDown Live, and we will be watching Money in the Bank with you on Sunday. So until then, goodbye,
Goodbye,
universe.
universe.